Hey, deep divers. Ready for a deep dive into how robots are actually already changing how hospitals work?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
So buckle up, because today we're dissecting a fascinating AWS reInvent session. It's from 2020, but trust me, the insights about building robots for safer and smarter hospitals are still super relevant.
Totally agree. And it's cool because we're getting perspectives from both AWS folks and a real robotics company, so we get the full picture.
They kick things off by hitting the big why robots in hospitals in the first place.
Right. It's not just about the cool factor.
Definitely not. One huge thing is how robots are upping the telemedicine game. Obviously, telemedicine's huge now, but robots are taking it to another level.
Absolutely.
Imagine like a robot being a doctor's stand-in, their eyes, ears, even hands, when being there in person is impossible. That's what we're talking about, healthcare, but reaching way further thanks to robots.
And then there's the whole disinfection thing. This session really hones in on how robots are designed to make hospitals super clean, safe for everyone, patients, staff, the whole deal.
You know, thinking about it, back in 2020, that focus on disinfection was kind of eerie,
Oh, totally.
almost like they knew the pandemic was coming. And speaking of essential stuff, robots are getting good at handling important deliveries in hospitals.
Yeah, meds, food, you name it.
Contactless delivery means lower contamination risk, plus it streamlines everything.
Exactly. Efficiency and safety, all in one.
But here's the catch. Building a robot isn't like snapping together some Legos.
Yeah, it's way more complicated than that.
It takes serious brain power. Developers need expertise in like a zillion areas. Mechatronics, sensors, computer vision.
Oh, and don't forget AI. The robot's got to have some brains.
Right. It's that a whole team of experts, not just one mad scientist in a basement.
And then there's testing. Prototyping takes forever. And getting your hands on the really expensive equipment, actually getting into a hospital to test this stuff,
Good luck.
almost impossible. So how do companies get around that?
Enter simulation virtual worlds, baby.
Honestly, simulation's a game changer. It gives developers a safe space to recreate situations that'd be way too risky in a real hospital.
Oh, I see.
Imagine trying to figure out why a robot malfunctioned or seeing how it handles. Like a super rare event, all without risking patient safety or trashing an expensive robot.
It's like robot boot camp, but without the real-world consequences if they mess up.
Exactly. And it's not just about recreating past issues. Simulation lets developers go nuts with testing, running tons of scenarios at once, way faster than real time. They can find bugs quicker, try out different designs, the whole 9 yards.
And in healthcare, where things move so fast that speed can make or break a company.
Totally. And that brings us to two companies that nailed this whole simulation thing. Milvus Robotics and Jetbrain Robotics.
Yeah, Milvus, they're a Turkish company, and they were developing a disinfection robot called Sate. You can imagine the pressure they were under, right? Pandemic's hitting, everyone needs this tech yesterday.
Absolutely.
But they hit a wall, no access to a real hospital for testing, and that's where AWS RoboMaker steps in.
Right. RoboMaker to the rescue.
So Milvus used RoboMaker's virtual hospital. They were able to test how Site navigated, how well it disinfected, all in this safe, simulated space.
Clever. So they basically built a virtual hospital to test their robot.
Pretty much. And guess what? Huge time and cost savings. Plus, the quality of their final robot was way better.
See, simulation pays off.
Totally. And now, let's hop over to Jetbrain Robotics, an Indian company later bought by Solaris Disinfection Inc. They were all about robots for healthcare too, but they had limited resources.
Okay, limited resources. That's tough.
They had like two big problems. Not enough robots to go around for all their developers, and no easy access to real hospitals for testing.
I can see that being a major roadblock.
For real. But their solution, AWS RoboMaker.
Okay, so how did RoboMaker save the day for them?
Well, they switched from doing little simulations on their own computers to using RoboMaker's cloud-based setup.
Makes sense. Cloud's the way to go for that kind of stuff.
It was like, bam, they had a whole virtual robotics lab. And the best part, RoboMaker already had this virtual hospital environment ready to go.
Talk about convenient.
Right. So they could finally do all that real-world testing, but virtually. And the impact was huge. Their code quality shot up, they could test way more rigorously, and because it's all on the cloud.
They could work from anywhere.
Exactly. It didn't matter if their team was spread across the globe.
That's a game changer for collaboration.
Right. And get this, they could even test those super tricky, kind of scary scenarios, things they'd never try with a real robot near a patient.
It's like having a safety net for your robot development.
Totally.
Uh,
But it's more than just safety and testing, right? There's
Wait,
also,
the onboarding.
yeah.
Jetbrain realized they could get new developers up to speed so much faster because RoboMaker had all these pre-built tools and environments.
It's like they had a head start so they could jump into the real work immediately.
Exactly. And that's a huge deal because when you're not spending all your time setting up, you have more time to innovate.
So both of these companies, totally different situations, both found a solution in AWS RoboMaker, which begs the question, what makes this toolkit so powerful?
Right? Let's break it down.
RoboMaker gives developers this awesome set of tools, makes building, testing, and actually launching robots so much smoother. It's like the ultimate robotics toolkit.
So, like, what's in this toolkit that makes it so special?
Well, first off, it's fully managed. Developers can focus on the good stuff, the code, the robots, the innovation, without stressing over managing servers and updates. AWS handles all the boring background stuff.
That's huge. It's like having your own IT department just for your robots.
Exactly. And because it's all cloud-based, RoboMaker can handle whatever you throw at it.
Okay, so it's scalable. That makes sense.
Need a massive simulation with tons of data? No problem. RoboMaker scales up.
Very cool.
So it doesn't matter if you're a small startup or a huge company, RoboMaker's got your back. But what about, like, customization? Can developers bring their own stuff, or are they stuck with what RoboMaker provides?
Right, because sometimes you need that custom touch.
Totally. And that's what's so cool about RoboMaker. You've got options. Bring your own simulations, or use their tool, WorldForge.
WorldForge. That sounds intense. What's that all about?
So WorldForge is like a world-building tool, but for robots.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Developers can use it to make all kinds of realistic virtual environments. Like, imagine designing a whole hospital floor plan, adding furniture, obstacles, even changing the lighting to mimic different times of day.
Wow, that's detailed.
It's like The Sims, but for robots.
And then they can test their robot designs in all these different situations.
Exactly. You can create all these what-if scenarios and see how your robot handles them, which is super valuable.
So WorldForge basically saves a ton of time and money by making it easy to build realistic test environments.
Exactly. And here's the cherry on top. It's all designed to be super cost-effective.
Even better.
Pay as you go, meaning you only pay for what you use.
No massive upfront costs.
Nope. It makes this kind of cutting-edge tech way more accessible, which I think is fantastic.
Totally. It levels the playing field for smaller companies and startups.
Absolutely. And that's what we love to see, more innovation in healthcare. It's true. It opens up a ton of possibilities, right?
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, this reinvent session we keep talking about is from 2020.
Right. 3 years ago, that's like a century in the tech world.
Exactly. So imagine how much crazier things have gotten since then.
Makes my head spin thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show this whole robotics and healthcare thing, it's not slowing down.
Not even a little bit.
And this deep dive has given us a glimpse into where things are headed. But here's the thing. We've talked about robots helping with patient care, disinfecting, making deliveries.
Right, tons of stuff.
So what else do you think robots can do in hospitals? What other tasks could they take on? It's kind of a mind-blowing question.
Oh, for sure. Like, what's next for robots in the hospital? The
Yeah.
possibilities are endless.
It really gets those gears turning, right? Like, picture this robot's assisting in those super intricate surgeries, giving that one-on-one care to patients, even becoming buddies, or like managing the entire hospital supply chain without a hitch.
Exactly. And we've only scratched the surface. As this tech keeps getting better, we can expect even bigger leaps in patient care, safety, and how smoothly hospitals run.
This has been such a cool deep dive, don't you think? Seeing robots in action in healthcare?
Totally. It's mind-blowing how much innovation's happening in healthcare these days.
A huge shout out to you, our amazing deep divers, for geeking out with us on this one. For those who want to dig even deeper, check out the show notes for links to AWS RoboMaker and those companies we talked about. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, deep divers.